The regular meeting of the governing board of the trustees of the Willits Unified School District is called to order at 4 o'clock. Roll call. Mrs. Nunez.
Here.
Mrs. Lambridge.
Yes, here.
Mr. Loker.
Here.
Ms. Sukney.
Here.
And myself, Mrs. Payne here. I ask if there are any changes to the agenda. So the change that I know of is that in closed session, item A is pulled from the agenda. And that's the only change that I know of. So I'm asking the board to vote on the approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as present.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Closed session is called at 4:01 to discuss items listed under closed session on the agenda minus item A. The regular meeting of the Willits Unified School District reconvenes to open session at 5:16. So, Board Member Sukney, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Absolutely.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the report out of closed session is as previously approved. Item A was pulled from the agenda. No other action was taken. Since we're a little bit late, I'm not going to read the whole governance norms, just refer to their main title. We agree to act with dignity, respect differences, build trust, work as a team, engage the public, focus on the success of every student, work together for the common good. So, I don't have any informational items on my agenda. Is that, you're doing a budget later, Melissa?
Budget is down there, yes.
Okay, but
Do you need the? Report on the closed session.
I have the right one.
There is no informational items, no.
Yeah, well, I don't see any informational items. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So we now have time for communications from the unions, us, our superintendent is in here, and governing board. So I'll call on CSEA. Are you correcting?
No, I was asking if you can read all the report.
I did.
Okay, I
did. Thank you. I said, as previously approved, item A was pulled from the agenda, no other action. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, CSEA comments?
Yes. Thank you. Here's the comments. All right. As you may or may not know, I sent a letter to you guys last week or so. Stay Well, our Health and Welfare Consortium, just took a vote to increase our cost of medical benefits by 35%. As classified employees of Willits Unified, this is unaffordable. I mean, it's gonna make it tough for everybody. We can't stay silent. Many of our employees that work at the district work for the benefits, and now find themselves in a place where they have very few options. These would be to quit and find a job that the health insurance is not required, or ask the district to work with the union to reduce their hours. These are both terrible options. Reducing hours means our students would not be getting their needs met, and employees can't pay their bills. Not having health insurance means that we can't have our basic health needs met, and this could lead to more time off, due to sickness, unexpected health concerns, and even more. I know you guys don't have control over what Statewell did to us. I know that the district doesn't have control over it, but I mean, there might be something that we could do in the district that, you know, finds a way to kind of help absorb some of that cost to us, the member of CSEA and the teachers. So I look forward to any response or help that we could get.
Thank you.
So, as I said to you the other day, we're probably gonna have to wait until the new superintendent comes on board to deal with this, and I'll certainly engage the new superintendent in a dialogue and
Absolutely.
send him your email, so, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
WTA?
Make my font a little bigger. My title I can read, I have to change my font. My name's Brian Bowles, I'm the president of WTA, Willits Teachers Association. I'd like to start off by a quick thank you to all the board. I know you've been through a rigorous process and a time-consuming process over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, our timing of needing to find a superintendent is not ideal. Usually that would be a February-March issue. So I greatly appreciate you putting the time in and all the efforts that went into that. Also, thanks to Amy and Rochelle for helping put together the committee. That was an important thing to have, and I greatly appreciate that we had a representation from all aspects of our district and outlining areas. A couple of things I just want to really hammer to the board right now as we transfer from one situation to another. 3 things that I'd like to see really pushed by the board and the incoming superintendent. And that is enforcing boundaries. We need to have all the admin, all the teachers, all the aides, everybody on the same page so that when a kid goes from A to B to C, they're getting the same message from our education system. So a systemic approach to what our boundaries are. And then beyond just the student part of it, we recently last month passed permission to use bond funds to increase our security cameras. And that whole process is a large chunk of money. That large chunk of money hopefully will do us well and improve our site and our safety. But we've had some history with misuse of that. And so I would like to see the board push to have protocols in place before the cameras turn on. So we have a plan moving forward. Who sees it? When do they see it? Once they've seen it, what do they do with it? When is it appropriate to give it to the police? When is it appropriate to have a secretary or something observe it during a duty, right, when there's kids out? I don't have all the answers. I don't think any one person does, so I'd like to see some really good thought put into that from the board down. And of course, WT would be more than happy to be a part of that conversation. Kind of combined with that boundary is absenteeism. I think that we need to drastically increase our kids at school. We have a lot of frequent flyers, so to speak, and we put some of our new resources at Lapham Speaks to High School. We have some resources at high school now in the form of new counselors that will maybe help enforce that and get people in our classrooms on a regular basis. Which brings me to my third one, which is articulation. And I think it's really important for all of our schools to become more articulated. We've done a few things across our age groups. We've got a reading program that had a fantastic start this year with Brendan Ludwig, bringing high school kids down to Brookside. That's been a success. I get to see those kids throughout their day after they've been there, and their stories that they tell me are about their interaction with the kindergarten, first or second grade. And I can only imagine that those same types of conversations are happening with those K2s at their home and with their friends. So congratulations to our district really for helping put that together, and a quick A-OK for Brendan Ludwig for being the person that drives teenagers back and forth across our high school and to the elementary school. So the last thing I want to talk about is Stable. It was a huge hit, and I want to paint a little bit of a picture that Kevin did a good job of painting as well. But WTA as a union is worried for not only our own union, but for CSEA and for our students. And you know, as educators, we should all be students first, so I should say in order. I'm worried about our students, I'm worried about CSEA, and I'm worried about Willits Teachers Association, in that order. The hit that will take to our classrooms is immeasurable. And we are already being monitored and helped to get better by the state and the county. A lack of people helping our students, one-on-one, 10-on-1, 12-on-1, 24-to-1, is going to really make that worse instead of better. And so I, along with Kevin, would love to work with the district towards finding a solution, financial solution. I know we are tight. I've read the budget that Melissa's putting forward. So I know that there's some realities at play there, but there are also realities in that budget that are workable. And so I strongly behoove the board and our incoming superintendent to look at places where we spend money, and you can compare us to other districts and find out where their differences are, where we're spending money, where other districts are not. And I think we could find some excellent places to cut funds so that we could keep the majority of our staff intact. So I'll close by saying thank you. I have a recent graduate, April. Thank you so much for Silver Grad. I know it was you and a village,
Yes.
but you spearheaded that village, and all of our kids came out unscathed and had money in their pocket. They have toys to play with, and most of them are school-related, so I'm excited about that. And then thank you to everybody in this room. As a graduating senior, my kid has awesome relationships with the janitorial staff, with maintenance, with bus drivers. Every single person helped my kid cross that finish line. I was proud of his speech. He was in the valedictorian, gave his own speech at the announcement or the ceremony, and I'll just reiterate what my son said, which is go out in the world and be good humans. And so thank you all. I look forward to working with the next superintendent and with the board in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Dan.
Okay, now we have superintendent comments. Do you want to say anything, Laura? I just want to say before that Mark's wife had her last chemotherapy treatment this week, and she's having a real hard time, so he wasn't able to make it back today.
The only thing that I really want to say is thank you to everyone for pitching in and finishing the school year strong. I know I saw custodians, maintenance, secretaries, everybody was swamped, teachers, but you guys made it happen with a smile on your face, the kids looked happy. Just wanted to say thank you for finishing off the year so well. Thank you very much. And also for those of you that served on that superintendent panel, you guys, I said this before, but I don't envy any of the individuals that were on that panel, nor the board. That is such a difficult decision, and I know that none of you that were on the panel took it lightly, so I really appreciate that. As a parent and as a neighbor and as a partner, I really appreciate all the attention to detail in the entire process, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so the board comments, I will start. I wish to thank all staff, students, and families who have an enjoyable, relaxing summer. I see how hard everyone works. I don't like meetings that get lost in the weeds. I like succinct meetings with comments that are clear and short, expressing what's needed to be said without unnecessary verbiage. After being told that since I currently run the meeting that I could try to instill some succinctness, by asking that staff and board comments be limited in time to 5 minutes, I got dinged by the board for overstepping my role, which I appreciate their reminding me who I am. I then looked at other board meeting agendas from around the country. Ukiah's board agenda uses the term brief comments, which appealed to me. I emailed Deb Kubin, the Ukiah Unified School District Superintendent, about their staff comments and the word brief. She wrote, when the board comments section starts, the president asks board members if they have knowledge to share with the board. The board was finding that their comments were taking a larger amount of time than they wanted. So they agreed that they would share things during their comments that will help add knowledge to the board. So she says, in general, this has worked out well. I want to thank the board, the round one interview panel, and the district office staff for all their hard work in finding and interviewing applicants for the superintendent. So I'm asking everybody to join my brevity challenge and share what will add to the knowledge of the board. I will keep my comments to under 2 minutes, though these comments lasted slightly more than 1.5 minutes. All right, how about you, Jennifer?
This has been an honor to work on the new superintendent stuff. I look forward to when we can move forward and make some kind of an announcement. And that's about it.
In short. David?
Okay, I want to chime in again. Also, I was part of graduation this year at the high school, and again, the process from the point of view of being a board member was new to me, and again, it's just nice to sort of share in our students' success. And again, I think that's one of the main things that as a board member, I measure myself by, is to what extent do we have students who graduate, make it through the process, the education process, and come out with a diploma, and it's nice to see that we celebrate that. As far as the process by selecting our new superintendent, again, we're not quite done, but I have to say I appreciate the fact that everyone who I work with has the same goal, basically finding the best candidate we can find. And again, it's also kind of gratifying that we found a number of people who are interested in working in our district and serving that capacity. Because I know initially people were kind of concerned, oh, you won't find people who want to work here, and actually it was quite the opposite. So again, it's good to see that our district actually can attract talented people. All right, just that. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. The first year has been a learning experience. I appreciate everybody's knowledge. Thank you, all of you guys, for helping. Rochelle, thank you so much. Graduation was super cool to be a part of, 8th grade and high school, so thank you guys for allowing us to be there and be a part of it. It was really special to be able to give some of the kids that I've seen grow up their diplomas, so that was awesome. Sober grad turned out amazing. We had almost 100 students in attendance this year, so we gave almost $16,000 in prize money the night of. We were able to give almost 5,300 in scholarships this year. The students, honestly, it's not just me. I couldn't do it without my board of directors. I couldn't do it with all the parents and the businesses and the help from the schools. So just know that we appreciate all of you guys. And if any of you guys want to be involved, we start in August for next year. Have a good summer.
Oh,
Well, I have also been to interviews lately, and that was an experience unlike my past interviewing experiences. I'm hoping that our consensus works out for the very best interests of our district. I personally think that it will. Graduations were very nice. It seemed to be very rewarding for the students, and thank you especially to Mr. Kinney and Mr. Topolinsky. You know, I do that to Shane, okay? Anyway, Mr. Shane, I guess. We're hoping to start on a citizenship adult school, we're hoping to start on a citizenship path in the adult school program. It will be helping people fulfill the requirements that they may or may not know that they still have left to do, and then become citizens of the United States. We're also hoping that that will fold itself into night school English language acquisition classes. We've had them in the past, I'm sure most of you know, but it's always kind of attendance-based to keep it up for the following year. And like everything, people are excited about stuff in the beginning, and then for whatever reasons, things slack off, and then it sort of takes getting them back to go again. Also, I really must say I was very impressed at how rapidly a petition to make changes in the invitations for applicants to go to round 1 interviews were done, although the petition wasn't quite honored, even with 70% of the staff responding to the change in less than 2 days during two of the busiest weeks of the school year. I'd like to make it very well understood that your sincere interest in the decisions of the district are truly appreciated. Even though it doesn't always look that way, they certainly are necessary, and it needs to be reflected into our behavior, as well as please continue to make yourselves heard. It's very important for a whole district. Then lastly, I do have a bit of an issue with what I feel is censorship. I believe that information and reporting during a meeting needs to take as long as it needs to take for people to be informed. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, then we'll have time for a break, a 5-minute break. So we're taking a break at 5:37, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes. All right, that's the end of the 5-minute break, and we now have time in our agenda for public comments. Do we have any public comments? And I want to remind people that public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per topic.
My name is Donna Cash Vargas, and I'm going to read something that my daughter wrote. I had a lot of different experiences at Willits High School, some good and majority of them bad. Freshman year, my mom and I thought we had set things up to where I would be helped with my circumstances, as I have pseudo-seizures and stress being one of the main causes. I had to constantly advocate for myself when it came to having teachers read and follow my 504. And majority of the time, they didn't even do it. I felt like I had to beg the staff to even look into it. When it came down to me actually having a seizure in class, no one knew how to deal with it. I was filmed having a seizure because staff didn't know how to clear a classroom. Do you know how embarrassing that is as a teenager, trying to have a social life while also dealing with a medical problem? There's so much more I can go into, but for right now, I'm going to focus on this last year. Senior year is stressful enough for a young adult trying to navigate where they're going to go for college and how they're going to graduate high school. For the majority of the year, I was severely depressed. I was depressed to the point where I was having suicidal ideation for months on end. I couldn't sleep. My anxiety was through the roof. I felt like every day was a new hell walking the halls. I didn't have friends or a social life, but I tried my best to always be respectful. Sorry. So sorry. And kind. when it came to being in Miss H's class, I'll just say, I tried really hard to follow her assignment plan. On April 20th, I almost committed suicide after talking to my mom. The best plan of action would be for me to take a week off of school. That was April 20th, 2025, and that wasn't the first time. My mom filed for independent study, and during that time, she had a phone call with Miss H, where Miss H undermined my mental health condition, saying how it seems like so many hard things had happened lately. Regardless, I tried my hardest to get my work done for her class. The following Monday, I went to her class and asked to have a conversation about my grade and what I could do to improve it. During our conversation, she asked me if I was just aiming to pass her class with a D. I said, if you think that's what my work is worth, then yes, all I want is to just to pass. My sister got offered a trip to Florida for her Make-A-Wish, a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I went on. In class, we had been working on our final. A week before senior sign out, I completed my draft early and submitted it to her a week in advance. She gave me a bunch of revisions, which I did my best to fix. Friday, the day of our class senior trip, she sent out an email with a bunch of people included on it saying how I wasn't in class and how she sees that I went on my senior trip when my paper isn't done. When I got home that night, I opened my Chromebook back up, looked through whatever revisions I had left, and completed it. The next day, my mom questioned me and asked if I had shared it to her, and which I did on Google Docs. On Sunday night, for whatever reason, I had a feeling something went wrong. So I submitted my paper to Canvas as well. That Monday, coming back, Miss H told me she couldn't sign me out because she hadn't graded my paper yet. So on that Friday, there in the email, it said that she would grade the paper first thing on Monday. It would be done so that she could get signed out. Her class was first period. So that whole rest of the day, she had to worry about if she was going to be able to graduate or not. This wasn't just it. The teacher also told me that she wondered why she was put in this class because she barely passed the first term of it. My daughter, anyways, the paper was on the Constitution. I'm sorry this might be going over 3 minutes, but I think you need to really look into the different emails that were sent back and forth. Instead of going and grading this paper and looking at, the deadline, she focused on the time the paper was sent, which was, she said, was 1 o'clock in the morning, and then sent back and forth blurry timestamps, playing a game with me. This, whenever there's a deadline to happen. That's not how a teacher should be acting. So anyways, Shane had to take over and my kid graduated finally, but she didn't need to go through all this stress. This was a horrible situation. I want to say Mr. Mansfield is amazing. That I don't know what I wouldn't have done without him this year. That poor man, he had to listen to my nonsense constantly, and so did Brian Bowles. So they both singularly probably also helped save my daughter's life. So thank you for having them. Thank you guys for listening. I just also want to say that with seizures, the kids can hear whenever you're having a seizure, you're coming out of it. My daughter also heard teachers say, I wish she wouldn't have had this right here in the middle of the hallway when she was having a seizure. She heard that as she had to be moved because she was in the middle of the hallway instead of having it in the middle of the classroom whenever she had been videotaped before. It was a horrible situation. So anyways, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and Shane listened to me too. He was great when it came to that.
Anybody else for public comment?
There, Shane. Give you some props.
My name is Daniel Stanton, custodian with the district. In my short 2.5 years of being employed, I have witnessed multiple occasions on which shady deals or excuses being made for longtime employees when they do things that are just completely unacceptable. I have been, for lack of a better word, a victim of at least one of these decisions in which it just erodes the trust I have in the way things work. I feel like this is a good old boys club, and I'm not in it. And the decision to not grant an interview to Brian Bowles further erodes that trust. I feel like if the board is really after the benefit of the kids, then they would interview all possible candidates. I feel the point that the fact that our superintendent isn't here tonight just highlights the fact of the need we have for a local person, and I just feel that this is just another shady backroom deal. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, then we'll go on to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion excuse me, do I hear a motion for the consent agenda as presented?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any board members have comments or questions on the consent agenda? Paul?
I don't, I usually do.
Yes, you do.
No, this time I sort of had a question on the employee status change. It started in May, so is this going to carry over for next year as well? Or was that just May till the end of the year event? I mean, we received these so much later than the time that they start that I am easily confused there.
They're always a month behind, Paul.
And I'm aware of that, that's why I'm asking, does this continue? Okay, that's good.
So which one are you referring to? There's 1 through 8.
Number 5, I'm
Number
sorry.
5?
The change was that a person was added. I don't know that that was an additional addition. I think that that was replacing another position.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't clear, but.
So we'll take a vote to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we'll move on to the rest of the agenda. So we have a public hearing on the budget. Melissa?
Yes, do we have to open the public hearing?
Huh?
Open the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. So I'm making a motion to open the public hearing. Do we have to vote on it?
No, today I'm just presenting, next week is when we vote on it.
Okay.
Okay. So I switched it up a little bit. Usually I just type up a summary and give it to the board for informational purposes. Tonight I tried to put all that information in a slideshow, which I haven't done in many years. And don't mind me, I prefer my seat down there. So I'll just go ahead and start it. So these are the planning factors for the budget. It includes the COLA, which is the cost of living allowance, enrollment, the funding method, and our ADA that we're actually funded on. For 25-26, the proposed funded COLA is 2.3%. Our enrollment is projected at 1529. We are going to be being funded on prior year funding because it is higher than what the 1529 would get us next year. The only unknowns, so there are unknowns and MUA variations in these current planning factors. We truly don't know who's going to enroll for TK or kindergarten. And we also don't know if the actual funded COLA will change. That seems to change every reporting period. So I don't expect you to read this. I just shared a snippet of what our LCFF calculator looks like. And this is what provides me with the data for current and the next 2 years. And then this is a little smaller than I thought it would be, but our unrestricted, I just wanted to break down some of our revenues and our expenditures. Our revenues are unrestricted total, so unrestricted are the revenues we can use on just about everything. Not everything, but a majority of our expenses. That's $20.2 million, and that includes our transportation, our Prop 30, our EPA, our supplemental concentration. Property taxes come in there also. We also receive lottery funding. We also receive restricted lottery funding. Our restricted funding covers all of our title funds, which we receive 1, 2, 3, and 4. Our special education funds, all of our grant funds, and our restricted lottery. We do have contributions we make from our unrestricted funds to our restricted funds. For maintenance, we have a state mandated contribution of 3% that we have to contribute to maintenance every year. Special education is only funded at about 25%, so we have to backfill that also. Transportation, we also contribute to offset the cost of that. There are also additional funding sources. There's the home to school transportation reimbursement, and that's based, so each year we know if we're eligible or not, and then the local control funding formula equity multiplier. Here's the breakdown of our budget. The salaries and benefits are 84%, books and supplies are 5%, operating expenses are 9%. I did do a breakdown of all of our books and supplies because on those lines, all you see is like the 4,000s and then the 5,000s, and it's hard to really differentiate between what all we're trying to say. So I did do that breakdown. And the operating expenses also, I would like to point out insurance continues to increase, but there are all these subcategories in our operating expenses. We have sub-agreements for services, travel and conferences, memberships, insurance, utilities, leases, rent repairs, and professional consulting services. And then other notes, our beginning fund balance is calculated using our estimated actuals, so that is bound to change based on how the year truly wraps up. And as of right now, we are at our 3.10 reserve for the end of 25-26. And our multi-year projections were set to in 26-27, 3.31, in 27-28, 3.02 is the projected reserve level that we will be at. We were able to meet this by moving some of our unrestricted funding or expenditures to our restricted side. And then I would like to end by saying I'm always available if anybody has questions. There's my email and my phone number. And that's it. Yes. And my computer's down there, so I can't turn it on.
Thank you, Melissa, for all that you
Thank
do.
you so much.
We really appreciate it.
Usually nobody asks us, so then I feel like the information doesn't get out there and.
No, the information, I think, is always really good. I was curious on the Title III allotments for what was happening this year losing money for next year. Title III are immigrant student programs and English learner programs. They're down $6,000 for the next year. I'm seeing that because you expect student population to be less,
Our
or?
student population is decreasing. If you look at the planning factors I used, it shows the ADA and all of those are based on per ADA. But
Okay.
also what the title funds are what are the uncertain ones right now, so I'd rather budget those on the side of caution
Caution.
because we do not know what the government will provide us with.
Okay, and I was a little concerned about the mandated cost reimbursement. I should show you these. The mandated cost reimbursements, they go down it's 67,630, almost $32, because it's not going,
No, we might receive that. We do have to elect for that, and that happens in August, so that would come through in an audited actuals when I provide all that other information.
oh, okay.
It's state mandates, normally you file claims and you get reimbursements, but reimbursements are not happening, so we just elect for the actual grant.
Okay, and then I was curious about what are the rental fees and other expenses that come from, yeah, interagency services and rental fees, that transfers of apportionments. These are all kind of funds that go directly to restricted funds, and then we seem to spend them. I don't know what they would be restricted for. Is it a
This would-
particular building or?
No, restricted is the type of funding source, so if there are different federal and state, different funding sources are restricted or not restricted.
Okay, so when it says that, the amount of money seems to drop, not so much this
So
time,
this-
but in the
Yeah,
past
this
it
is the
has.
budget, so these are expenditures. These
That you're
are,
expecting to need, right?
Yes,
But
because
this is
we-
the proof of what we've done already, right?
this is current estimated actuals.
Okay,
And
so
without
they just-
having my,
I mean, that's like $100,000.
yes, the budget's also 1,300 pages long, so without that in front of me, I
Yes.
can't answer this very
Yeah.
specific question.
Oh, okay, I just thought maybe it was in general that we were gonna rent buildings or.
No, some of that's our leases and our leases for our copiers, there's all kinds of things covered under there. But unless I have that in front of me, I can't answer that question.
Okay, and the reason we don't have any payments to charter schools is because that section of the bond is gone, or the bond is on the other page only?
So let's see.
It's like this one.
No, we see.
We didn't make any payments at all. I thought I usually manage to save 1 year.
So
to
because
the
we
next.
haven't yet, it is in the budget as a projected expense, so
Oh,
we
okay.
pay for the charter schools special ed services,
Mhm.
but they also pay us, so it's kind of like a wash.
Oh, okay, and
it's
it
just
won't
different
show
funding
till
sources.
August end.
It won't show until I actually do it.
Oh, okay, and then it has a thing here about, well, there are two of them. One are subscription assets, what are those? It only happens once and then it disappears, and it's only 30 grand, not that $30,000
Like I
is
said,
little, but it's.
I have to have my computer in front of
Oh.
me because those are the 6,000s, those are equipment, so.
Oh, okay, I didn't have that. And then the only other thing I was concerned about is some of these from restricted to unrestricted and unrestricted to restricted, not necessarily anything in particular, although it is, and it's listed in other places, but are those usually because we can transfer money like that?
We
and
cannot
use it
transfer
later?
money.
Well,
We
that's
cannot
what I
transfer
thought,
money
so
at all,
I'm
we can transfer
wondering.
expenditures.
Okay.
Every single funding source that we utilize is heavily reported on and audited. So I operate in
So
line
something,
with the CDE.
right, so something that says unrestricted is in the whole, but restricted is not, and they're exactly the same
If you
amount of
see
money.
it, because that is a contribution, like I showed in my slides, to special ed, maintenance, and transportation,
Oh,
which are restricted sources. So we take the money from there to move it to there.
oh,
So
okay.
if you look at the total column, it's zero.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Well, then that's good. I didn't realize that special ed, I thought it was coming under a funding number.
No.
Oh, okay. And so then, I'm pretty good except for unassigned, unproportioned amounts. That's our
That's just
reserve?
because, no, I don't take this dollar amount and plug it into there, it just falls out. So any money that's left in our unrestricted fund is our reserve.
Okay.
So I don't tuck our money away somewhere and call it something else. It just falls out.
Okay, well, that's considering, I mean, it's nearly half of it is gone, and it was strange that it would be set up for so much less.
Well, this is estimated actuals for 24-25. This is the proposed budget for next year.
Yeah, that's
So
why I
two
was
totally different
concerned,
things.
why you figure it would be like half of what it had been the year before, just for
That
funding.
doesn't take into it. So if you look at our ending fund balance, that's where you would see what our ending fund is.
Right.
So that's our ending fund.
Okay.
I would be more than happy to meet with you in my office at any
Yeah.
time and go over these things in detail there, and we can bring all that information back to the board
Oh,
so
yeah.
everyone can receive it.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in, which is why I do it in the middle of my life. Okay.
Is this a community? Right?
Yeah.
Open to the community. Do I need to come to the stand or can I do it from my seat?
You can
Okay, thank you. I think you touched on it, but I was wondering, the leases, when it says $111,000 in leases, those are things like copiers, those aren't buildings, or are they?
No, they're not buildings.
Okay.
We pay rent to Sherwood.
Okay.
And we have the railroad property, the
By the high
farm
school.
gate land and the practice field.
Yeah.
And
And then our
lease
leases
our
are-
machines.
Our Xeroxes, we pay lease on our postage machine. And then we have a couple, oxygen bottles, so for like Becky's class
Mhm.
and for maintenance, so we do rent those cylinders.
Well, those are small ticket items, I think, what's the
Those
biggest
are
one out of
kinda
the
small.
111? Like, what's the
The
biggest?
20,
Xerox?
so it's gonna be so all of the Xeroxes together, but the biggest one is the property at the high school, which is usually about $3,000 a year.
Okay.
The other ones I would need to look up, I mean, I can't remember.
So it's leases, rent, and repair. So we also
Okay.
budget for repair
Within that,
Literally,
the contract part,
yes.
portion of it.
for anything. That's just how it's categorized by the state. We use the state accounting.
You've answered my
standards.
question.
Okay,
I wanted to just clarify that we weren't renting anything
no,
that
we're
we
not.
could do in-house. My other question, or I guess really a statement, but before I say that, thank you for the presentation. I think it's the first time we've ever seen it presented like this to the community, and I think it's very helpful. I don't know if it was available earlier, or if it's just here that it's available. That would be one thing I would ask, would be anything that we're gonna see at the board meeting as a presentation should follow the same Brown Act rules that we do for all the other parts. So it'd be great to see that. I think it would allow people to come up with appropriate questions to then direct to you, so that next week when we go to vote on it, those questions could be answered, so there's no ill feelings.
I think when the agenda is published, that's an attachment.
It is not.
This was not. I got my budget done in time to give it to Rochelle for posting, and then I worked on this
But
this week.
next week, when we vote on it, it will be,
I can attach this.
okay.
Not meant to be a chastising at all. This is great information, and to be able to process it in real time is almost impossible at a board meeting, right?
This is all of the
and-
same information in my summary that's attached at the beginning of the packet though also.
I
Word for word.
am trying to say thank you,
You're welcome.
and this is fantastic. And even better would be if people could read your synopsis, because people can't read the budget. And so this is fantastic. But in order for people to be interactive with the people that we voted for, we need to have some time to digest it. This is my only critique in it. Again, thank you. The last thing I will say is I've been negotiating a teacher here since not 19. Not that old yet. 2005 or 6, I think. And I've been a negotiator, or in the negotiations one way or the other, since I think 2007. One of the things that always occurs in this exact presentation is a declining enrollment statement. And so third year out, we're down 30 kids. I agree with Melissa, that is something she cannot actually put a target on and hit, but I've never seen it go up in any of the projections in 25 years. So just think of that, right, when you see these numbers and you think of how close we are at 3.02, the district and our new superintendent will need to make some real decisions to help our CSEA and WTA decide to want to keep their jobs here. And also, it's probably not as gloom and doom as we think, because unless something catastrophic happens, my history in 20 years is that we don't actually get those low numbers in third-year projections. I've never seen it. So, excellent job on the numbers. You have to be err on the side of conservative, I think, and I think that's responsible. But I don't think, I would never rest my hat on that target being hit precisely. Thank you.
So Donna, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, I was gonna ask, this might not be extremely relevant or important to most, but is it in the budget this year to get the goalposts painted at the high school? Because the stands look nice, but it would be nice if we could get the goalposts painted, because in the pictures that we take for our kids, it kind of looks tacky unless you do the brush up, you know. So that's just a point of view from a parent over here.
I'm sure
So,
we can share
I
that
don't
with
have
maintenance.
individual lines for individual projects, so I'm not at the school sites, it's not up to me to decide.
Something I can look into.
all right, thank
Shane, put
you.
in a ticket.
I mean, I don't have any kids going there anymore, but I might go watch.
How you looking?
So are you finished, Melissa?
This makes it
Thank
look
you.
nice.
So I just wanted to thank Melissa. We're in very good hands with Melissa. She does a fine job as a CBO. So I want to thank her. And then I just wanted to reference email that I got from California School Board Association called titled Budget Action Alert that I received about 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's brief and I'll read it. Legislature's proposed 2025-26 budget underfunds and undermines the integrity of Proposition 98. Act now to tell the governor and legislature enough is enough and to reject the manipulation and protect Proposition 98. Earlier this week, the Assembly and Senate announced that they had reached a two-party agreement on the proposed 25-26 state budget, which includes the governor's proposal to withhold $1.3 billion in Proposition 98 funding from public schools. We're urging all California school board members and public education supporters to make their voices heard and call upon the legislature and the governor to reject this manipulation. This is the second time in as many years where efforts are being made to undermine the intent and purpose of Proposition 98. Prop 98 provides a minimum funding guarantee for public education in California, a floor, not a ceiling, for school funding. And these efforts are permitted to be adopted. If these efforts are permitted to be adopted, they'll create holes in the floor of public school funding. This proposal will set a dangerous pattern of the governor and legislature circumventing the Constitution and undermining Prop 98. If adopted, future legislatures and governors may seek to withhold greater amounts of funding in order to support other non-education public priorities. Contact the legislature and governor today and tell them to reject the withholding of $1.3 billion in Prop 98 funding and protect the state's minimum funding guarantee. CSBA will not walk away from protecting Prop 98. So I wanted to share that. That came out today. So do I use the gavel to get us back to?
You can just say, public hearing closed.
Okay, public hearing closed. And we're moving on to item D on the agenda, which is approval of tentative agreement with, between Willits Unified School District and Willits Teachers Association. Do I have any board member that will move that we approve the tentative agreement?
I move that we approve the tentative agreement.
Do I have your second?
Second.
Okay, so any comments from the board?
I have one.
Okay,
There is, I believe it's Article 16, discussing the site-based decision-making. There you go, thanks. And I'm just hoping that the few meetings I went to last year between the high school and the middle school, basically, I had some real concerns with because there seemed to be, for my way of thinking, too many topics or goals. I'd just like to recommend that maybe you consider, maybe it will be considered that you pick maybe 1 to 3 and that they be serious about it, so that maybe we could have a report that shows we decided on this and we worked through it, and now our goal is evaluated this way. You know, just because everyone who has been involved doesn't feel like they spent way too many or not enough hours making a change for things that were site-based, you know, and that just seemed like a really good idea to me. And I do hope, and I say this to the 2 principals from the elementary schools, I didn't go see yours at all. I understood that we're already sort of works in progress, but I'm gonna think seriously about improving that behavior, and then, you know, I'll go watch how you manage to come to your decision that you have it under control. Thanks. Yes.
I would just like this, let's see. Thank you for bringing it up, first of all. It is a very important piece of the document, I believe. It allows input from all the stakeholders. Actually, it's set up to incorporate not just WTA, but CSEA members, admin, board members if they're so interested, and community. So the vehicle, which is site-based decision-making, I think is well written in there. It has had a rocky start at certain sites. I won't go into sort of details of it. We have something at our younger school sites called Guided Coalition. And it basically does almost exactly what site-based decision making does. And so rather than try to reinvent that wheel and give it a title and force it, the union and all the members at that site said, we're doing great, union agreed, we let that continue to run the way it has been running, and it's running efficiently. Middle school, Sanhedrin, and high school, I would argue needed site-based decision-making as a vehicle to get their voices heard. A number of years ago, all of our lead teachers resigned from the leadership teams en masse because they were not being listened to appropriately. So this was a vehicle to get that back on track. I agree with you that it can use some improvement, and I agree with you that a focus is warranted. But it's not led by the admin, it's not led by WTA. The goal is to be a vehicle to get an improvement in our district. And so that's absolutely my focus as WTA president. I spoke with both the leaders at the middle school and the high school. We did receive some correspondence from Mr. Beebe that I rebutted. But both those chairs were very excited about the work that they have done and see it as a great stepping stone towards a better process next year. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
No, I'm real glad it's there. I just get impatient, I guess.
As do I.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we move on to item E. The approval to employ Ricky Mills, speech and language pathologist district-wide with a variable term waiver. Do I hear a move to approve this?
I move that we approve it.
A second? Okay. Discussion.
Well, actually, I don't, just a terminology thing, I don't actually understand what a variable term is. So if someone could explain to me how that differs from regular term.
The concept is the same as, for instance, as for a teacher as a tip. You familiar with that concept? It's the same for, this is the term for that type of a situation, for counselors, speech pathologists, psychologists, that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's what this was. just some money for college rather than regular training for a teacher.
She was a paraprofessional before for quite some time, and then within our district servicing speech pathology things, and now she's in a program and getting close to finishing.
Thank you.
It's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that she's part-time
She is part-time.
and that she's been employed previously in this role part-time, but we have to renew it every year. Is that correct?
That is what I was told by Amy.
Okay. So that's why it's on here, is it has to be renewed every year.
It can be renewed for two
Huh?
times. It's usually renewed for 2 times, so
Okay.
she gives enough time to finish the program.
And I myself am very glad to see real life human beings giving speech therapy and not having kids doing this online.
Great.
I didn't see you back there behind Heather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's like,
I didn't-
Where's Amy?
I didn't know if I was supposed to address it.
All right, those all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye. I'm sorry, I missed the motions. Can you repeat them?
Yes, the approval to employ Ricky Mills.
No, you can just tell me who motioned.
I did.
Okay.
David.
Okay, I'm
Thank
sorry.
David second.
Sorry, I was trying to get that AC to kick
Are we okay now?
on. No, no, your cheeks are red. Are you blushing?
Never.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
She's pulling down her.
So the last summer, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, our next item is item F, a resolution of the governing, resolution number 2024/25-6. A resolution of the governing board of the Willits Unified School District in support of the softball field on campus at Willits High School, the name Carey Stiles Field. So, it's a roll call vote.
You have to get a motion.
Huh?
Motion?
So I move that we approve, or do I hear a motion to approve?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer? Or we should discuss, is there any discussion?
I'll say it's a nice way of honoring her. Was it?
She was an amazing teacher, so I'm all for it.
Any other comments? Okay, so it's a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes? David?
Yes.
Myself, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then item F passes. So, item G is elementary K-8 assignments in 2025/26.
No.
Yes.
2024-25-7.
What are you looking at?
The schools.
Middle school assignment authorization.
But she is correct, it's for the 25-26 school year.
Oh, well then maybe we should change what's on it.
No, the resolution number is 24-25-7, but this is giving authorization for next school year, 25-26.
So it's resolution number 2025/26-7, elementary K-8 assignments in 2025/26. Is that correct?
No,
No?
it's resolution number 2024/25-7, and it's giving authorization for middle school assignments for the 25-26 school year.
Okay.
I know, it's confusing. You said it correctly the first time.
Okay. So do I hear a movement to approve?
Okay, I move that we approve the authorization.
I second.
Okay. So any comments?
Are these annual things?
Aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Or comments, I should say?
Okay, I do have just a clarification question. So essentially, this is to allow someone who's working in the middle school, might have a single subject credential, teach at lower grades where someone might generally have multi subject.
Middle school, we have, we have teachers that are having multiple subject credentials, and they're teaching various, subject areas. They're aligned and tied in with their grade, with specific grade levels, and, they're teaching a couple of different areas.
Okay, so give us more, district more flexibility in terms of assigning people.
We have a few single subject, credentialed individuals, and I think we just might have hired another, hopefully, science,
Yeah,
did we?
yeah.
So now we have science, listen to what the high school was pushing for, so. We have a single subject math, ELA, and, now hopefully science as well. But we have a mixture there.
Can I clarify? I think your question was,
Well, again, the question was, does the authorization to allow additional flexibility as far as assignments go for
Yes.
teachers, regardless of whether they have multiple subjects or a single subject?
so the single subject, you would not be able to just wave your hand and make it happen.
No,
A multiple subject is K-8,
So
and allows them to
they
teach
can
any
go up.
subject
So they
within
can
that
go up.
K-8. The single subject allows,
Just,
in theory, people to have more information about the subject they are teaching. So it depends on big picture, do you want them to get ready for the tests, or do you want them to be able to be covered with a person in the classroom?
okay, which I think I might
And
have
it
actually said the
concerns
opposite
itself
of
with
that.
the ed code, not, it has to have mutual consent. Mutual in that the teacher, yes, is willing to do that, which is sometimes daunting either.
Okay, I feel I have clarity now.
Oh,
I taught at Bethel Grove for 10 years, and I think I went back over to high school in 2000. But I know that the teachers that taught at Bethel Grove at the time that I was teaching in 7th and 8th grade, they were almost all single subject credential. And I think the education staff that is applying for jobs at middle schools now is less in that category of having a single subject credential and more in the category of having a multiple subject credential. So I could be wrong in that interpretation, but that's the way I see the way the scheduling is. So. Okay, all those in favor?
It's a roll call vote.
Aye. Is this a roll call?
Yes, all resolutions are roll calls.
Okay. Jennifer?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jeannie? Yes?
April? Yes.
Paula?
yes.
Okay, so at the end of our meeting, items for the next regular board agenda. Does any of the board have items for the next board agenda?
Tuesdays is not regular, right?
It's Thursday.
It's Wednesday.
It's one.
Thursday.
Regular or special?
Yes.
We have a regular meeting on Wednesday
For the business. Oh, okay,
And
it's a
their
regular.
resolution.
Oh, okay, so we do reports and the whole thing being regular? I mean, we're gonna find,
Well, it's called a business meeting. In June, we always have a second meeting,
right,
and it's called a business meeting.
so the only things that can be on the agenda are business issues.
I don't know, I just know it's referred to as a business
It
meeting.
is considered it is a regular board meeting, it is on our calendar, but it is a very basic budget adoption. I mean, it's, and lots of resolutions, so get ready to roll call.
Okay, well, we can add items to it at this point, if it's relevant to the budget.
If it's relevant to anything.
Okay, well, no, actually, I'm interested in a little bit more details about the contract we're gonna have with the new security cameras.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
Okay, so I understand there's a lease involved, a 10-year lease or a 10-year contract?
We have 10 years of licenses, and then we potentially have to renew, but we still own all the equipment and have the same capabilities. It might change our cloud storage capabilities, I believe. And that would be the only thing that changes, but it's all our equipment,
Okay,
and we're not leasing anything.
okay, all right, but we do have a contract as far as some of the auxiliary services that we need in order to run.
Special.
I don't know. Not really my project.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I do think that the things that Brian brought up in regarding to the security cameras, the protocols, that should be discussed under the new superintendent rather than bring it up at this point. So,
Are we expecting the new superintendent in time for the next meeting?
No.
Right?
No.
No.
Okay, so there won't be a July meeting.
No.
So then we're talking about an
August meeting?
August meeting, which would be somewhere around the 11th or 12th or whatever it
For the
is.
protocols.
Okay, and that's what we're gonna discuss in the week, on next Wednesday, when we set up what we wanna see happen, or additional items for the.
So will that be on the
Because that's
next
important.
agenda where we ask for items for the next regular board agenda?
Yeah, someone could make that request after July 1, but the next regular board meeting is next Wednesday. I have that you want to discuss the IT contract? Or are you wanting to push that out till August?
Actually, it was just now sort of explained, I just had sort of
Okay.
a nebulous idea of whether or not we were
Got it.
leasing the equipment, but also I thought there was a 10-year contract for, again, I thought it was actually for,
I would love
Is
for
it
the
what
board,
expects?
I would love for the board to be more educated on the decisions that you're making.
Yeah, maybe-
So would I.
Maybe we can have Jennifer Maples, the IT director, come and share.
okay, if
That'd
she
be
was
great.
able to actually, come and actually explain some of the details that we were doing this.
And
So
to,
maybe we could have that on the next agenda, I mean, not on next week's agenda, but the agenda in August, where Jennifer comes and gives a presentation on
and I would say the board is the body to make a policy, because it'll be board policy how we utilize all that information and data. And I know my union is absolutely interested in hearing what that policy may or may not look like.
Thinking that there's a possibility for a committee to get it together, or are we leaving that to the tech committee, or are we leaving that just to the board members?
Right now, we're talking about what agenda items you guys would like added to the next regular board meeting, which is next Wednesday.
Okay.
Is today the deadline for that, or could they add it to it throughout the week?
I mean, they can send a request, anyone can send a request whenever they want, but that's the action item we're on right now.
Okay, well, I would like, again, if it's relevant to the budget process, I would like to have Jennifer Maple explain, again, some of the details of what we're purchasing, also, again, some of the capabilities of it.
Yeah.
Again, I understand it's sort of state of the art, so again, part of my thing is, I'm sort of curious how it is an improvement over what we currently have.
Yeah, it was upgraded, and so that's
Right,
what
but
they're
what,
wondering,
what,
what is the new stuff?
what
Okay.
capabilities?
Is it upgraded at every site?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know some of the information, but not enough to feel fully.
Okay, let's point out, I think if Jennifer Maples is willing to,
She absolutely is. She had a presentation ready last time that we asked, so.
Well, yeah.
okay, well, yeah, Chair.
It's ready to go.
Anybody else for items for the next regular board agenda? Okay, so we adjourn at 6:34.
You need a motion and a vote.
Oh, thank you.
I move that we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now I call out of the regular board meeting at 6:34 still.